So I do want to welcome you all to this month's hour. We used to call it Hour of Power. I just call it Power Session these days. And we're going to talk about a great topic today that could be a huge guilt trip for people. And I don't want a guilt trip. So don't take it that way. Take this as an encouragement to maybe change something today in the way you think and certainly in what you do to help your life, to help the people around you, to help you get done what you want to get done. So just be a little child today and just be curious and just be interested and have some fun. I always start with a thanks to the Portsmouth Chamber of Commerce, the Maysville Chamber of Commerce, Grayson, Kentucky Chamber, Adams County, and the Ashland Alliance. They all promote these events in their newsletters and with their folks. So I always like to give a thanks out to them and a shout out to them for promoting this. It's my way to give back. I've been doing this for 22 years and I've never done this topic before specifically. So we always start here. And if you hang out with me, you always see these. And I hope every time you get a little different thought about it or just another clarity about it. We've got 4 rules and the rules are designed. The game today is the hour or so that we'll be together. And I want you to get the most out of this. And so these rules are designed to help you get the most out of a learning situation. If you look at life as a learning situation, these rules work just fine for life as well. The first one is to be an owner. And it's probably the cornerstone principle that I taught for over 20 years. Just own it. If it's to be, it's up to me. Quit blaming, making excuses, not dealing with things. Today, we're talking about not dealing with things. We're talking about commitment. And just own it and grow up and quit making all that, just making it easy on yourself. And that doesn't mean make it hard on yourself, but just means smile and participate 100%. Choose to engage with things and be curious. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes just teach you things. And start to just live life. I think that's really, if you put those 2 rules together, go for the gusto. I mean, we're all vertical. We're above ground today. We have a beautiful life ahead of us if we can see it, and get rid of the I know and become curious. When we get know-it-allish and so serious about ourselves and our opinions, we lose out. We quit learning. Once you believe you already know something, you just don't learn anymore. So I'm telling you, I'm asking you, I'm not telling you anything. I'm requesting, I'm offering these rules that if you'll agree to them and abide by them today, you'll really get a whole lot more out of this. I always say you can walk away from these times with me and you don't have to keep any of these ideas or these thoughts. You don't have to go along with them. There's no pressure. So you can just be curious and interested and open-minded and then decide at the end, what do I want to keep and what do I want to maybe set aside or throw away? That's fine. So, and all of that, if you take that attitude and that approach, is a huge amount of fun in my world. That's the fun way to do it. When you're having fun, you learn so much more. When you're bored out of your skull and you're under pressure and you're just taking all this stress, it just shuts down that creative subconscious mind that is more embracing, that emotional mind, that's a little more like a child. That's the place to be, that place of creative thought when you want to learn something. Now, critical thought is important when we're working and we're making decisions, and even when you're making commitments. I think you do need to sit down and count the cost and be very objective. But in a learning environment, I think fun is the word. Be colorful, be musical, dance a little bit, don't wrestle with things, and just enjoy the morning. Just make this a break. Make this kind of like a coffee break for yourself and just enjoy listening and thinking and considering and pondering. You'll get the most out of today with those rules. So with those agreements, hope I have that agreement with everybody. Let's move on to me, because this is all about me, right? It's not about me. But sometimes when people are new to this, they think, who is this guy? So that's why I put this up here. That I should put the new title up there. Who is this guy? I'm Dave Beam. I've been married for 38 years, and we're talking about commitment. And we should both, my wife and I, Connie, should both be committed because we've been married to each other, and we're certainly belong somewhere locked up, committed, because we've stayed with each other. We're just that crazy, and we're glad about it, which is even crazier, isn't it? But it's delightful, and I'm so thankful for her and our commitment. And it explains, and I understand commitment because of that relationship. We are still committed to our three sons as well, and they're grown, and we have a great relationship with all three of them. And every one of them's different. You know how that is with kids. I'm the granddaddy of all granddaddies, and I'll refrain from that role, and I won't go there and start flashing pictures and telling stories. Business leader for 20 years, more like 22, and have been doing this kind of work. And it's just, they say, love what you do and you never work a day in your life. That's me. And sometimes feel a little guilty. The people I work with aren't always that in love with their job. But I certainly don't look at this as a job. I look at this as a calling and a passion and a joy. I'm also a biblical counselor. Maybe that's a little harder because I'm dealing with people in heavy situations, marriage situations, family situations, sometimes addiction situations, depression. So it's a little bit darker, some of the issues, but it's still people. And I love to bring them direct. Counseling's a little more direct. I give them advice from the scriptures because it's a biblical counseling, because I think that's ultimately where we can find the best wisdom and direction for our lives from the one who made us. And I have a passion to help people. And that kind of ties all that together. And that's why I'm here today. I have a passion to help you, and I hope this is helpful. So let's look at our topic, commitment. Being a little bit scholastic today, we're going to start with a definition. And I don't know if you all have ever used the etymological dictionary. You can find one online. I've got several books. The etymology of words, where words come from. Sometimes words are very interesting. They're what we use to communicate. And I think they're powerful. And you can really understand and get some insight into a topic by understanding the word. So I want to take a deeper look at the word commitment just to talk about what we're talking about. Pledge. Think about pledges. Maybe the first thing that comes to mind there is I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. You know, we learned that as kids, most of us, and we're making that commitment to our country. Wow, we could go there, couldn't we, today? We're not going to. Maybe you were in college and you pledged to a fraternity or sorority. I've heard that word there. That kind of gives you a sense for that commitment word. Pledge means I'm dedicating myself to something. A pledge is kind of like a guarantee. I was thinking about the first car that I bought on time, and you write that check or you meet with that salesperson, and your signature, you know, is where you're making that commitment. You're saying, I'm committed to paying for this. And you know, that house, my goodness, the house we bought together years ago, and that payment and that total amount of money, it just takes your breath, but that's a commitment. I want you to get the feel of what a commitment is. It's something in your heart as a person of integrity. If you're a person of integrity, you're giving your promise, your guarantee, your pledge for something to happen. We hope when we hire employees at our business or our organization that they have that attitude. and those values. It's a little harder to find it these days, it seems to me. That might be an old man top comment. I don't know if it's any harder or we're just more aware of it. But how about you? If you tell me something, can I count on it? Is it just as if a done deal? If you tell me it's going to happen, is it a done deal? That would be the question. Let's look at another word that locked up. Now, this one's interesting. If you go to the dictionary, and we'll put a little dictionary definition down here in a minute. One of the dictionary definitions about commitment, and you all get this as soon as I tell you, is if somebody's mentally unstable and they kind of have to be taken in hand and committed to an institution. They have to be locked up. And that word locked up is really one of the definitions, that they need to be committed to being cared for by somebody else. We have to commit that person, bind that person, restrain that person at times to be over here. They are committed to that institution. Think about commitment. What I want you to get out of that, think about commitment in those terms. That when I'm truly committed, I'm pledging, I'm promising, I'm guaranteeing, I'm locking myself up. I'm binding it's a binding agreement. I'm binding myself, guaranteeing that this is going to happen. That's what true commitment is. I'm all in, not partially in. Let me give you another thought here. There is no such thing as partial commitment. That's like saying you've got dry water. I mean, it doesn't work. True commitment is 100%. Anything less than 100% is not committed. And the whole point of today's message for you all is this. When you are in a state of partial commitment, it increases your stress. Huge. The lack of closure and the lack of commitment is what is stressful. I want you just to think about that. That partial commitment is a lie. You're saying you're committed, but you're not. And when you think of commitment that way, that you never have the integrity, you never have the values, you never have the commitment to say that this absolutely will happen. That is a stressful state. It's a guilty state. It's a state where your conscience bothers you because you are saying one thing, but you're doing something else. I like to use this as another example of commitment. I think it's one of the best. Again, back to marriage. Can you imagine somebody going into a marriage saying, well, I hope I'm faithful. I'm 98% committed. I'm going to try to stay with you. I mean, you're thinking that's crazy. Who would marry like under that basis? That's no commitment. So we get commitment there. Or I'm mostly committed to my child. Like you'd say, what? Yet so many people use that word and they don't mean it. And I'm not beating anybody up here. I'm just trying to get you with your cup of coffee today, having some fun, to think about the word. So let's look at the black and white terms on a PowerPoint that you're never supposed to put up there. So now I've done it. I've violated the rules of PowerPoint. I've put small words up there with a definition, but I want to read these. Commitment is an act or an instance of committing, putting in charge, keeping, or trust. Like sending legislative bills to committee for review. We've committed that bill for review. Or the official consignment of sending a person to prison or a mental health institution. We talked about that a minute ago. That's what the word defined means. It's also a promise or an agreement to do something in the future. like a financial obligation, like when you put a down payment down. A down payment is really a promise. It says, I'm putting this down to pledge to say, this is the start, and that means I am committed to making these payments. That's why in certain situations, when you borrow money, you have to put a down payment. It's a pledging. It's a promising. It's saying, I'm giving you this money in good faith to say there's more that will follow. It's being bound emotionally or intellectually to a course of action or to another person or to persons. And that's just the definition. And that itself will help you with this issue today. Just understanding it, what it is and what it is not. I'm going to be talking a lot today about what commitment is not. And people have it all confused today. And I get confused sometimes when I don't slow down and rethink what my true commitments are. In fact, that's what I'd like you to do here, is just to take a moment and think about, what are you really committed to? And maybe what do you say you're committed to, but maybe you're not? I think those are good questions. Because there's a joy in commitment. There's a peace in commitment. There's a power, and that's what we're talking about today, the power of being committed. You have a powerful tool here in commitment. If you really want to get something done, I'm going to show you how to get it done today. Isn't that cool? You've got intentions. You've got things you'd like to do, you'd like to achieve, but you're not sure. I want to show you how to be sure. We're going to get there. So 5 or 6 lessons. I can't remember the exact number that's on here. We're going to go through each one, and one may really resonate with you and some of them may not. So just ride the train with me. We're going to have several stops along the way. And at each stop, I want you to just take a look at the shops in the city if you're a shopper. And I might like to buy some things there, I might not. Some of this is going to resonate with you and really make sense to you. Some of it might not so much. So just ride with me. You might like all of them. You might like some of them. It's just different. We're taking different perspectives, different camera angles, and looking at the scene of commitment. So the first one, I'm going to go inside. I want to look at integrity and conscience. The word integrity is an interesting word. It comes from the root word integer, and it means wholeness. Isn't that interesting? A whole number is an integer, not a fraction. So it's solid. It's not divided. It's not distracted. It's not anxious. It's settled. So when I have integrity, what I say I am, I am. What I say I'll do, I do. I don't have a duplicity. I don't have a fight going on inside of me. Now, how many of us are there 24/7? I would beg to say nobody. But if you're not there, that's what's causing your conscience. Your conscience is a God gift within your heart to warn you when you're not in integrity. That's what it does. It screams at you when you're not keeping your word and you're not doing what you say you're going to do. And it's called guilt. Guilt is your friend. Now, I don't sound like a psychologist now, do I? Sound more like a preacher. But I'm telling you that it's good to feel bad when you're not doing good. It's good to feel bad when you're not doing good. That means your pain system, your emotional pain system is working great. And what are we supposed to do when the warning lights goes off? We're supposed to find out why. When we're driving down the road and those red lights flash on our dashboard, we need to find out what's going on. That they're there to help us. Oh, they're aggravating. But why is that light going off? When your conscience is bothering you, it's telling you that at least in your head, you lack integrity. Somewhere in your thought, there's a disconnect between what you're thinking and saying you're going to do and what you say you're committed to, but you're not committed to. Folks, let's just get honest and real today. This was a great morning just to get honest with yourself and say, I'm not committed to that. And if I'll admit it and get honest with where I'm really stand, I can get back some inner peace and some conscience clearing to say, just to confess and say, this is where I'm at. You can't leave a place you've never been. We have to be somewhere before we can go somewhere else. Hear it this way, my friends. You have to be uncommitted before you can be committed. People are overcommitted these days. They say yes, yes, yes. They're just a girl or a boy that can't say no. And they're just yes, 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 yes to everybody. And they say they're committed and they say they'll try and they say they're in, but they're not. And we know that. Maybe we are that sometimes. So you can't depend on anything. You're not sure because promises don't mean promise anymore. And I sound like a whiny old man. I'm saying this group that would take time for an hour on a Wednesday morning to listen to all this, I'm hoping you're saying, I don't want to be that kind of person. I want to be a person of integrity. I want to have wholeness and confidence, and my word is my bond, and what I say is what happens, and that's who I am. And so I think you see the relationship between commitment and integrity and conscience. You see how that all goes together? Saying we're committed does not make us committed. The only thing that commits you is action. There's an interesting term. I know you're committed when you act, period. Now, you may be committed before you act, but the fruit of commitment is action. And apart from action, there is no evidence of commitment. Isn't that interesting? All right, let's move on. Very related to integrity and conscience is trust, accountability, and leadership. Let's talk about leadership. I think I have some leaders on the call, people that aspire to leadership and want to be a stronger leader, people who are leaders and just want to hone their skills. Why do people follow people? I think it's because they trust them. Why do people not follow people? Because they don't trust them. Or they might do what they say out of fear, or they might be forced into doing things, but the people that willingly follow other people, it's because they trust them. It's because that person has integrity. Now, what do we mean? It means that they're committed to mission. They're committed to values. They're committed to their team. If I believe a person is committed to me, I will trust them. And when I break that bond through lying or not fulfilling my commitment that I say I'm committed to, the trust is broken and the leadership is lost. It's a bank account. I've just withdrawn some of my dependability because I haven't done what I say I'm going to do. And so I've said I'm committed to you, but my actions speak louder than my words. So people are looking and they're testing the waters to see if your words are going to match what you do. Folks, when you agree to meet with somebody with a one-to-one meeting and then you don't show up, or you blow it off, or you always reschedule it, or you never do what you say, you're losing trust. Because the commitment doesn't mean, your commitments don't mean anything. Your commitments have no value. So how does accountability weigh into this? I can count on you. I can count on you to keep your commitments. That means you're accountable. And I love to coach this and teach this. I like accountability to be internal more than external. It's not that we can't hold other people accountable, but truly the best accountability is to your own conscience. The best accountability is to yourself and to your God, because like that is where he's the one that really knows us. He's the one that really sees us, and you're the one who really sees yourself, and you know yourself better. You know what's real and what isn't real about your life more than anybody else. So you can't hide from your conscience. You can't hide from yourself. So this idea of commitment is, I think we need to use it very sparingly. I think people are way overcommitted today. They say yes to way too many things, and they violate their conscience, and they have a lack of peace because they've said yes out of social pleasing and all kinds of other motives to look good, not to look bad by using that no word, that nasty no word, which is really a beautiful word. And now I'm overcommitted, and now I'm not keeping my commitments. In fact, they're not commitments. They're just lies is what they are. And boy, I'm being coachy and harsh, aren't I? I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm trying to kind of throw the cold water on you and wake you up to see what's going on. Because you can't really get with this, folks, until you see what real true commitment is. And as a leader, if I want to build followers that follow me, they need to trust me, that my word is my bond, and that I'm accountable. They can count on me to do what I say I'm going to do. Man, that's a lot of stuff, isn't it? But I hope it's encouraging you to saying, man, it's good to hear that from somebody. It's good to know that that's still in the world today, those kinds of values. And I can be that kind of person if I choose to be. And you can be. It's not easy, but it's possible. Well, let's move, turn the channel here. I got the remote here, and I'm going to flip the channel to another topic that's related to commitment and overwhelm, commitment and priorities, commitment and yes, commitment and no. Kind of been going there already. When I commit to everything, when I say yes to everything, I'm saying no. Every time you say yes, you're saying no. Anytime you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. And if you try to say yes to everything, you're in delusion. You have not clarified your priorities. You haven't sat down to decide what I'm going to commit to and what I'm not going to commit to. What your not to-do list is as important as your to-do list. What am I not going to do? What am I going to quit doing? What am I going to quit giving my time and my money to because I'm committed to something greater and more important, a bigger priority? Well, if you're never taking time in your life to think about your priorities and get clear about what's most important, you can't be truly committed, because we cannot commit to everything. We don't have the capacity to do everything. And the people that are running around in overwhelm, it's because their conscience is torn apart and they're divided. They're not whole. They don't have that integrity because they've said yes to too much. And now they're trying to please everybody and keep all the balls in the air. And they're procrastinating and they're feeling guilty and they're worn out. They've dug their own hole by saying yes, 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 yes. Because, you know, good boys and girls say yes. Good boys and girls never say no. The 2-year-old doesn't know that. You notice that? The 2-year-old has no problem saying no. It's one of the first words they learn, no. And then we grow up and we're taught that good boys and girls don't say no. They don't rebel. They don't kick back. They don't disagree. They don't cross the line. So they are going to be a good person and they're going to say yes, yes, yes. And here's the horrible truth. That's what gets us to be not such a good person, because we're saying yes, but we're not doing all those things. And then we feel bad about ourselves. And I'm saying, let's get off the madness. Let's get off the train, man. Let's get off that road. And you're saying, well, Dave, yeah, I'm with you, man. I relate to this. How do I get off this merry-go-round? Well, stop and be dizzy and let everything kind of let your equilibrium come back, and then think about this. Kind of goes back to an earlier question I asked you. What are your true commitments? What are truly priorities to you? What's truly most important? Maybe you're a business owner and your business is just overwhelming you. Well, what in that business are the 3 most important things that need to be addressed? Not the 50. the 3, or the 2, or if you really want to be powerful, the 1. What's the one thing, if it changed in your life, would change your life? The one thing, not the 5 things, the one thing, the priority, the most important thing in your life. What is it? And be sure that that is a yes, even if everything else has to be a no. That, my friends, is commitment. That is integrity. And you're saying, well, if I'm just saying no all the time, nobody will like me and nobody will want to work with me. I beg to differ. I want to work with somebody who knows where they're going, what they're about, and when they say yes, I know it's absolute. And they'll tell me no, right to my face, very kindly, very respectfully, but very clearly, they'll say no. That will not happen. They won't say maybe, I'll try, but we'll see if we can, and all that mishmash social pleasing talk. They're very clear because it's kind to be clear, and it has integrity to be clear, and it's not popular to be clear, and you're not going to make everybody happy. But if making everybody happy is your goal, you're going to lack integrity and you're going to lack commitment. You're going to say you're committed, but you're overcommitted, and overcommitted is not committed. I just want you to hear it. Overwhelm is a symptom of a lack of commitment and integrity and clarity on priorities. And I'm not beating anybody up here. We've all been there. If you're human, you relate to this. We've all wrestled with these things, and you may be wrestling with some of them now. That's why I coach. I help people sit down and get a safe space and a clear space, and somebody loves them and cares about them to listen to them so they can get clear about what's really most important and then can commit to it. And when you say yes to a commitment, that means that you're saying no to other things. You got to love the word no. It's a defining word. Your fear of no is causing you problems. Love the word. It's a beautiful word. Yes is a beautiful word. No is an even more beautiful word. No enables yes, doesn't it? No enables yes. Let's go on to the next stop on the train. Habit and addictions. You know, an addict is probably one of the most committed people I've ever met. They have their priorities straight, don't they? Their whole life is dominated by that one thing, whether it's alcohol, drugs, maybe a codependence on another person, maybe they're addicted to a relationship or whatever. Maybe they're just addicted to their own pleasure. I mean, there's all kinds of addictions. And that addict, everything else takes a back seat. Addicts understand commitment. Now, you're saying, well, they're not happy about it. They're not willingly committed. Some are. Many people get tired of it because of the consequences. But I'm saying, can we use addiction to our advantage? Boy, that's a weird question, isn't it? Yeah. Let me find my priority in life. Let me find out what I intentionally own and want to be most important and get addicted to it. Now, what do I mean by that? Create a habit. Habits, most people, when they hear habits, they think bad habits. I'm talking about good habits. Leslie is my girlfriend. Now, Leslie's on YouTube every morning, and she does the same thing every morning. She does my exercise out routine, and I get up at 5:30 and walk with Leslie every morning. My wife introduced me to her, so she is the other woman in my life, but she's legitimate. And she's on YouTube, and I sit there with Leslie and her friends, and I walk a mile every morning. For the last 2 years, I've missed about 4 mornings for various reasons, but other than that, I'm very committed. Now, what's cool about a habit is you do it repeatedly to the point that you don't think about it anymore. So I'm committed to wearing underwear and socks every day. Did you know that? I'm committed to brushing my teeth every day. I've got commitment going all over the world. And how many things are you committed to that you don't even realize it? But you have all kinds of commitments. You don't lack commitment. You don't lack the ability to commit. You just don't think about all those subconscious things that are habits as commitments, but they are. Can you create commitment and habit? Sure, you can. You have to find those priorities and say yes to that, and then start to take action. Repeated action, intentional action. You pay attention to your intention. Attention to your intention. I intend to do this. Gosh, let me give you an example. This is one that everybody relates to, but if you're truly going to lose some weight, for maybe you've got health issues and I really need to get 15 pounds off. Well, am I committed to that? You can't really commit to the weight loss, really, but you can commit to the actions that are going to cause that. You can commit to a number of calories, measurable things, daily action is what we're talking about in commitment. And the integrity is that I say I'm going to do this thing every day, and then I do it every day. And that keeps my conscience clear. And when I don't do it, my conscience yells at me and guilty because I've said something and I'm not doing it. I hope you're hearing this. I start to trust myself. I start to trust the fact that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And so if it's truly a priority, I can say yes. And I say no to anything that gets in the way of that. And I do it just like an addict screws up everything else in their life to have their substance or whatever. It's the same process. You can use proactively the idea that we're addictive people to create subconscious habits that will take you to the place you want to go. I hope you're seeing it, that you can create habit. Let's go to the next stop. Words in action. Words are just thought expressed, right? So we could say thought in action. I think your words are important. I think your thoughts are important, but they're not commitment. They're not commitment. They're the path to commitment. They precede commitment, but they're not commitment. You're not committed till you act. You're not committed till you do. Words are cheap sometimes. Words come easy sometimes. Action doesn't lie. In fact, money and time. I know what you're committed to. Show me your checkbook, show me your bank statement, and show me your calendar. I'll tell you what your commitments are. I know what you're committed to based on what you do and what you spend your money on. That's what you're committed to. Plain and simple. Oh, Dave, that's not. I'm committed to things that is the fruit of commitment is money and time, and words are words. Action is what tells the story. Now, if you're a leader and you manage folks and you lead teams of people and you need to get them to do things and you're on a team and they've got duties, they've got accountabilities, they've got things they need to obey and do. And this is all great stuff because it's helping people as a coach to understand where they're not committed. You can look at somebody with a kind glint in your eye and a little smile and say, you're not committed to that. And but I am, I'm sorry. No, you're not, because if you were committed, it would have happened. If it doesn't happen, there's no commitment. That's the only way we know there is commitment is because it occurs. I want you to hear it. It's a different. We're looking at this distinction. And right now, this is the biggest idea of the morning. Right now is the biggest idea of the morning. The difference between commitment and intention. Intention is what I want to do. Intention is what I plan to do. Intention is what I desire. Intention may even be what my passion is. Intention is what I say. I intend to do that. Intention is my planning. Intention could even be my goal. But you know what commitment is? It's what you actually do. And there is a big difference between intention and commitment. There is a line you cross from intention to commitment that is a switch. And when the switch goes off, something changes in your brain. Something changes to the committed place. It's a place where you're committed to the institution. You're locked up. It's a place of solidarity. It's a place that is stubborn. It's a place that doesn't move. It's a place of addiction. It's a place where it happens every time, completely. That's how you know that you got commitment. And anything less than that is not commitment. Now, there's nothing wrong with intention. There's nothing wrong with wanting a lot of things and looking and considering, and variety is the spice of life, and people like selections and they like to have options. And it's good to have intention to say, I might like this, I might like that. I intend to go that way. I intend to read that book. I intend to learn how to play the piano. I intend to garden, whatever. But commitment is what moves it from there to happening. And it is a switch in the brain that I take my intention and make it a commitment. And once it's a commitment, action is what happens. Action is the fruit of commitment. Intentions can be all words. Hope you're seeing it. So let's just look through the list again real quick. I'm just going to read the words and just let you kind of marinate in the thoughts that you're having right now. Integrity, conscience, trust, accountability, leadership, overwhelm, priorities, yes, no, habit, addictions, words and action, money and time, and intention. Just let all that percolate around in your head and in your thoughts and in your notes. And if you're taking some notes today, and I'll be glad to send you these slides so you can look at them again. I think it's in the meditation and the thinking of these concepts that our mind starts to clarify, and we start to get clear and solid in our hearts and in our minds about what's going on. So let's look at the path to commitment. The path to commitment. We start off apathetic. I don't care. I'm not interested. I am not committed at all. So I'm just going to have some fun with this one. Let's say I want to be a pretty good piano player. We'll just use music. We could use sports. I want to play basketball. I want to be a pro golfer. We could use that one. But I start off, I have no interest in that. I am not even thinking about it. I'm apathetic. And then we move here to the next level towards commitment. The next level towards commitment is to be curious. This is the realm of possibility. Well, maybe I could be a pretty good piano player. Maybe I could learn to read music or learn to read chords. Maybe I kind of like music. I'm curious. I wonder if I could do that, would be the curious statement. It's what we talked about at the beginning of this session together about not having an I know. Just curious. Maybe possibility. Maybe it's a possibility. Curious. We're moving towards commitment. How do you get there? This is the road. You go from apathy, I don't care, I'm not paying any attention, to I'm curious. And then as you pay attention and you consider the possibility, you move up to interest. Now I'm interested. Now you got my attention. I really think I could play the piano. I think I might start looking at some keyboards and looking at some music and looking at some people I really like the way they play. Maybe I could do that. Or I think about a golfer that I really like to follow, and maybe I could understand him better and understand his story and how he got there. So now I'm interested. I'm not just curious. I'm investing a little bit of thought and time. I'm not committed at this point. See, some people think that's commitment. That's not commitment. That's just exploration. Then we move. Now I'm agreeable with it. Now, see, I'm not just interested, but I'm starting to have a little buy-in. In other words, I really like this. I really like you. You can look at this as dating 101. I mean, I'm apathetic. I don't even see the girl. Now I'm curious. Maybe she'd be interested in me. Now I'm interested in her. Now we're working on agreement. Now I'm really agreeable. I'm liking the idea, and I'm cozying up to it, and it's feeling really good. It's very agreeable to me. And then where do we go? To intention. I'm going to do this. Folks, hear me out. Listen right now. This is so important. That is not commitment. Just because you intend on it doesn't mean you're committed. I really am going to lose some weight this time. I really am going to exercise. I really am going to do that, whatever. I'm going to spend more time with my spouse. I'm going to spend more time with my kids. I am going to say no to that boss about the overtime this time. I'm intending on it. You're not committed at this point. I think you have to get here first. I think you have to get from, I don't even care about that, to being curious, to being interested, to being agreeable, to intentional. I think you have to move up the path. But then there's this switch, that little light switch. And you're right there at the fork in the road. And at this point, we're either going to move from intention to true commitment or we're not. And if you flip that switch, folks, now you're committed. Now you're locked up. Now you're in the institution. It just happened. And it is truly a change that happens in your brain. You move from a place of intention to a place of commitment. And folks, when we get this dynamic and understand this dynamic and can work with this dynamic and this tool, we can learn how to be sure that things are going to happen. We can learn that when we tell people we're going to do something, it will happen. Absolutely. And it's always because we take the action. We always make the step. It's like the little kid, the first time they went off the high dive. They take that first step onto the ladder. I don't know if you've ever jumped off a high dive into a swimming pool when you were a little kid or whatever, maybe a big kid, but you walk up that ladder. It's like getting on the roller coaster, isn't it? Now that bar comes down and you're committed. At that point, I'm on that board and I'm on the edge of that board. I'm about to jump, and that leap is the commitment right there. That's it. I'm in. I can't get back. I'm going up the hill on the roller coaster. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm there. And that switch has been thrown, and it's emotional. It's exciting, and bang, you're committed. And until you're to that point, you're not. You're very intentional, maybe. I have an intention, but there's a difference to get to commitment. So what does that say for us today in conclusion? Well, write this in your notes, and when you hang up here in a little bit from this, later today, if you don't have time to do it this morning, what have you learned and how will you change? What are you going to do with this? And here are some things you can do. First of all, if you want these slides so you can look at them again, email me and I'll send them to you. Second, I have 5 one-page articles, less than 400 words each, I think. So they'll take you a few minutes to read, that cover 5 more aspects of this idea of commitment and these concepts that I've talked about today. And I really, truly believe that change begins between your ears. And you think it and you understand it and you spend time with it, then you can move forward. But people don't slow down to learn nowadays. They don't slow down and really think about their lives, think about their jobs, think about their commitments. And I give you stuff so you can think. That's what I do as a coach, is I give you space and tools to increase your mind growth and thinking, because that's where it starts. That's not where it ends. It ends with action. It ends with doing something. But I think you have to be clear and then take action to get the results. So those articles will help. And you just ask me for those. I'll just let it be a surprise what the titles are, but I'll send those 5 to you. I'll email them to you. And then finally, if you want to chat with me for 30 minutes about your situation, because you want somebody to help you get clear, I just offer that here because I'm an old guy these days, and I love the passion to help people. And I give 30 minutes of my time to anybody who says, I'll commit to 30 minutes. I'll commit to this coaching thing for 30 minutes, and I'd like your help. So you just request it and be glad to talk to you. And here's how you get a hold of me to take advantage of those things. Just email me, davebeam@mentordavebeam.com. Ask for one or more of those offers, and we will send them along. And thank you for your attention and your time and your interest today in being the best you can be. That's what I'm about. It's helping you be the best you can be. And it's been a great morning. And we'll hopefully see you next month. We've got this 2 or 3 sessions on how powerful things to make you powerful. This one about commitment, the power of being committed is just amazing. So thank you. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.